My name is Jon-Erik Kellso, and I'd like to talk to you about how the trumpet player sets up the endings in a New Orleans-style jazz band. There are several different kinds of endings that are traditional endings in traditional jazz, and the trumpet player often is the one that dictates which ending is going to be happening. And often it's just, people are just listening to you for the ending. It's not necessarily preordained, unless you're playing with a band that has what we call head arrangements, where you've come up with arrangements over time just without writing them down. Or they just maybe are referring to a certain recording that's their favorite recording of that song, or paying a tribute to a certain artist who did the song a certain way. The easiest and most simple ending is what we call just straight out. Taking it straight out means there's no added beats, no added measures at the end of the phrase, at the end of the performance. That could end with a hold, a chord that's held, or it could just go straight out. And I'll try and demonstrate a couple of ways that that will happen. So that's straight out. No hold. The drummer might hit a choke cymbal or something on beat 4 after you hit beat 3 like that on the last measure. And here's a variation. So sometimes you'll put a hold on it. Maybe somebody else in the band will think there should be a hold on it, and you've already stopped, and you just join in on the hold. And hopefully nobody will leave you hanging, holding a note, and you'll be the only one. That can be a little bit embarrassing. But if they're listening, if it's a good band, they'll hear you do that, and they'll make you look good. Another ending in traditional jazz bands goes by various different names. Some people call it the King Oliver ending. Some people call it a double ending. I've heard it referred to as a Firehouse 5 ending. And what this is, it's basically just adding another 2 bars of the 1 chord or the 1 and 5 chord at the end of a phrase. And I'll demonstrate to you what the trumpet player might do in one of those. And another way of doing that, I'll just play the last 4 of that type of ending. The idea is with that ending, if you're expressing it to the band just musically without having talked about it beforehand, is you play a figure that doesn't sound like an ending until it actually ends. So if you pick a note like I did there, that's a leading note, it'll help the band to understand that. Now, of course, the band has to know that that is a possible ending. So you have to kind of know who you're playing with and know that they have done that ending before, or they have at least heard that type of ending before. One of the ways that the New Orleans bands used to, and still signal that, the trumpet player would actually stomp his foot twice right before that. So he's playing along and he goes, and that means look out, double ending coming. So a lot of experienced traditional jazz musicians will know what you mean if you do that. Another ending that's a standard ending that you should know about and know how to lead is sometimes called the Sweet Mama ending, although a lot of people haven't heard that name. That's kind of from way back, but it's just a turnaround ending, and I'll demonstrate. So basically what that one does, instead of going straight out, it goes from the tonic chord, the 1 chord, to the 6 chord, and that would be a 6 dominant chord, to the 2, to the 5, to the 1. So it just adds a couple of bars on to the ending. A lot of singers end songs this way, And you hear that often in some more modern styles of jazz. And sometimes they just keep it going as a turnaround ending. Miles Davis did that a lot. So that's a place where you might have heard something like that, although, of course, the style of the lead would be different. And I'm just improvising some examples of what you could do. It's not the notes that you should play, but I'm just trying to give you the idea of the shape of the ending, the kind of lead phrases that you can play that will signal to the musicians what you have in mind. Another variation of the double ending or King Oliver ending is the way that Louis Armstrong did it, which was a little different from these other versions that I just demonstrated. This is the same length, but the trumpet player holds one note through most of the ending, while the other guys do a lot of active stuff. The trombone player is moving around, the clarinet player or whoever else is in the band is doing the active part, and you're just laying on one note. Let me see if I can demonstrate. So that's the same length, but it's just the trumpet just kind of holds on to one note, and you still end on beat 3 of the last measure. The other variation on these type of endings, any of these endings, is that you end on the and of 2 on the last measure. That's a little more of a swingy version of it, where the band ends on the and of 2, and then sometimes they'll do the chord that's held on beat 4. Another very popular ending used by traditional jazz bands is has a drum tag at the end. Or sometimes it's even other players adding their own little solo tags by themselves. And without a drummer, it's a little bit challenging to demonstrate that, but I'll try and demonstrate that vocally and with the trumpet. So the drummer takes 4 bars after you've done what sounded like an ending, and then you do 4 more bars. And often those 4 more bars at the end are just 2 dominant for a measure, 5 dominant for a measure, and then 1 for 2 measures. And again, you can end on beat 3 of the last bar or on and of 3 of the last bar. And you can put a chord on the end or a choke cymbal. Also, sometimes after that 4-bar drum tag, you'll go back and play the last 8 bars of the song. But you have to signal that either musically or by saying, putting up 4 twice like that to let them know that you're doing the last 8, or just yell, "Last 8." So that's another way of doing it. So there you have it. Those are a bunch of ideas about ways of ending the tune as the trumpet player in a traditional jazz band or a New Orleans style jazz band. Those are some of the traditional ways and variations. I hope that's helpful to you, and that you'll be able to make it clear to the guys you're playing with what you're doing.